Bob's Fix-It Shop. Today I got something that's kind of cool. Made in Japan. My mom gave this to me. It's a Mitsubishi transistor radio. I'm guessing from the early 60s. And it belonged to my grandpa, McQuay. And yeah, it's kind of cool looking. And so yeah, my mom gave it to me the other day. She said that she remembers when he bought it, and big hole in it over here. So we'll see what we can do there if we want to do anything. But it's got tape holding it all together. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to see if we can get this thing up and running. See if we can make some sound from it again. And it seems like it's built pretty sturdy. Let's see. Yeah. So if you're interested in seeing see if we can bring this guy back to life, just hang on. It should be pretty fun.
Huh?
Yeah, hi, it's me.
Yes. I was just thinking about you.
I'm guessing in a good way.
Of course, always.
So, what's that?
Just a minute, I'm trying to find the remote. Well, I just had it.
He's very cool and hungry.
Where you gonna call up with that?
Reunited on the legislature. The 2020.
Found it. You know how it is when you lose the remote.
Yeah. You would have to walk up to the TV.
I don't know, do they even have something you can manually turn on and off?
I hope not. So I was just calling. I was going to ask you about this radio that you gave me, right?
Yeah.
So tell me again about it. Tell me its story again.
Okay, when I was a kid, I probably was, I don't know, 10. I didn't think I had my accident yet, so probably 10, 11. My dad came home with this radio, and it was made by Mitsubishi. And so whenever people came over, he would play it, and everybody would be impressed. And then, I don't know, something else came along, and it got put away. And I'd see it around in some of the stuff once in a while. And then when they died, I found it out in a bunkhouse.
Yeah.
So I took it home. I figured, who's gonna want this?
Yeah. So he would actually show people who came over.
Yeah, because that was a big deal.
Yeah. It actually looks pretty nice. I mean, it's not in great condition, but I mean, it looks like it was probably pretty nice in its day.
Yeah, we never found out how he got it or why. I don't remember ever hearing that. He just showed up with it one day. He did that one time on buying a new car, and Ma really hit the ceiling. So anyway, but he and Albert both went and bought a car. But anyway, so I had it with his papers with that letter he wrote to Ma and some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's not doing any good here. So I should find a home for it. And then I remembered you had all those other radios, so what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll see if I can get it working.
You think you can?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what about the batteries? What batteries would you put in them?
It's just got a 9-volt battery.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had those back then.
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that's in it is dead. I did the
I
old.
would think that.
I did the
I
old.
was very old, and we kids weren't allowed to touch it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, yeah, it looks pretty broken up now, so I can imagine some of you did actually touch it. Yeah, huh. Okay, well, that's all I had. I was just curious.
No, I got something for you.
It's clear. It's funny though. He's got tape all over it, and it seemed like everything Grandpa had tape all over it.
I know. He was a fiend about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, here it is from about 1968. They're not sure. But here's a service manual for the 6x-140, and I did a little reading in it, and they should be equivalent. Yeah, so it looks like we have our oscillator. That's coming into, I'm suspecting they're germanium transistors, but they might not be. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I think they are because the drop across here is 0.02. Wait. Yeah, yeah, it looks like they're germanium just by the drop across the. All right. All right. Well, let's see if we can power it up. Okay, so I've been kind of noodling around here, and so if I look at right in here, our oscillator, I think our transformer for our oscillator is right here. And if I turn that up, we've got a nice signal, and it's at about 1.9 megahertz. And so I have my signal generator. I have my signal generator set up at 640, right? So if I want to see my, if I want to tune into my signal, then I want to take that 640 plus the 455 intermediate frequency, and so that's 640 plus 455 equals 1.09, right? So that's the frequency we want our so I have my signal generator modulating AM at 640, and then I want to, so this is my oscillator. My oscillator has to be at the frequency I want to tune to plus 455, right? So that's 1.09. And so if I set up my probe here, no, a signal coming out of our oscillator, and right now it's right there. So you can see our oscillator as I tune the tuning dial. You go all the way from 2 point something to 1 point something. And so for this radio, I guess it's lowest. It's right at, the low end is probably 650. That's why it's so close. So let's go to 1.09. Then we'll know. And everything else should look good. Come on. It's a bit touchy. Whatever. Okay, close enough. So after that gets done with the oscillator, then that comes into the second transformer. I think that second transformer comes out right here. And you can see it's a little bit mixed up, right? I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely a signal coming out. It's got something else on it. See if I can go here. Yeah, so that's that should be 455, but let's see. Trying to work my way. It's hard to know where these things are. Okay, but I think that's this transformer right here. And I think this other one is right here. Right, and there we're starting to see 455 kilohertz, our intermediate frequency. And we can see the we can see the wave there, the 455, and we can also see something on top of it, right? And so we're looking good through this transformer. And then I think this next transformer over here, right here, coming into it, there we've got a really nice signal. And after that, it goes through a diode to our decoder. And after that, we should, if we look at the output of this transformer here and here, there we still have the signal, but we should come in. There should be a diode around there. I think this white thing here might be the diode. So and there's our 1 kilohertz AM signal that I'm putting out of the signal generator. And we can hear a tiny bit through the speaker. So the nice thing is, so it looks like the radio is actually working because we trace through here all the way past our diode right here, which is going to do our demodulation. And now we kind of want to look at the what we've got coming into our volume pot, because I think that's our volume pot there. Okay, so our volume pot is, it's kind of weird engineering here. Oh, I see. Okay, so it leaves right here, comes into the volume pot, and then exits the volume pot right here, I think. Wait a minute. So there's our signal, right? And then there's our volume pot. It's a middle tang there. Oh, I bet this is, I wonder if this is the capacitor that, I bet that's at 3 microfarad capacitor. And I wonder if that's connected to here and the other end connected down there. coming to here. Let's see, because once that, yeah, because that's the, okay, that's the transistor in the output. So I bet that guy's dead. And it's not passing anything through because I'm not seeing anything here. But, and I think that's where it's going. But I am seeing stuff at the volume terminal. I'm going to try to see if I can see where that goes. And let me see if I can just put a capacitor across it. You hear that? So there's nothing. And then if I jump across just with a cap, so it looks like this so it looks like this coupling cap right here, which I think is this guy right here, is belly up. And that's a 3 microfarad. I bet I have a 3.3 here. So I'm going to remove that, put in a different one, and we'll see what kind of improvement we have. And that's one side. And I don't even see where the other side solders in. Okay. We got that out. Don't even know what it is. Okay. So let me get this guy in here. Nope, it's too big. That's 22. Wow, that is a tight fit. All right. Let's see if we have improved our fidelity. It was kind of a bear getting that in there. All right. That's pretty irritating. Let me turn it down. But we should be getting some stations too. Let me try that. Well, the audio is pretty terrible. I'm going to replace these two bypass caps, and or not bypass, but they're one of them's a filter, power filter, and the other one, there's another one here. So I'm just going to replace all of those.
Glasses have been around 700 years. Isn't technology supposed to get expensive? Well, there's a simple explanation. Been done. The other.
Okay, well, I got all that glue off. I scraped a lot of it, and but I used a nail polish remover for some of it, and that took it off pretty good. And so it's pretty cleaned up here. But here you can see this is loose here, and then this has this crack here and here. So I want to get all this kind of glued up first, and then I'll figure out about how to fill that and whether I can kind of use a little fiberglass mesh to kind of fix up those corners. But first step is just to get those corners kind of done. So we're going to get some JB weld. Let's see. Okay, so I think I'll do this corner first because it's pretty straightforward. I just want to make sure it all lines up. And make sure it's like, okay. Just going to use some tape. Hold that in place. Make sure we're not sticking out too much. Oh, I missed a spot. So I also want to get the crack over here. I want to get some in there. Now this one's a mess. Okay, so that's in the right spot. And that's just holding in place. So I'm just going to leave that to harden up. All right, so all the corners are now kind of glued together, so it's got a little bit of strength, and I kind of sanded this down a little bit, but this corner here is problematic because it's got this groove that the top screen goes into. So I want to kind of figure out a way that I can keep that groove nice, but still kind of fill in with some epoxy in here and strengthen that corner a little bit. And then, yeah, that's kind of weird too. It's got that little groove there that the that this guy goes through. So I want to keep that. So what I'm going to do is I've got some wax, and I'm going to create a little mold with wax and around here and see if I can just kind of fill that mold with the epoxy. Okay, so I've just got some wax rod that I've flattened, and I'm going to put that it's such a mess. I'm going to put that in there. Right, so that's going to create that, or that's going to keep that groove in there. I think this is all conjecture at this point. Keep that like that. And then get another piece of wax to kind of put like that. And this is just wax I've used for like jewelry making. And the reason I'm using wax is because the epoxy does not stick to it. And I'm going to do the same thing for here. This one's big. So, all right, so I'm going to take some fiberglass mesh. Just going to cut the threads. I thought I was going to. Yeah, and I just had my soldering iron turned all the way to low. Okay, so there you can see kind of inside there. And so we're going to try to fill that up. Okay, so I lost the audio for this, but you can see that what I've done is I built kind of like a little mold out of that paraffin wax and just kind of moved it around. And so then I'm going to fill that area inside the corner there with a combination of epoxy that I've mixed up. And I've put little strands of fiberglass, chopped up fiberglass inside it too to kind of give it some strength because it's kind of a big gap. So we'll see how that works. All right, well, let's see what we came up with here. There we go. Hey, that turned out pretty good. Wow. Huh. Let me see if I can. Well, I would file that under exceeds expectations. A little dicey there, right? But it doesn't have to be great. But it's still kind of soft. I'm going to let that harden overnight. Hopefully it'll harden up. It would kind of stink if it's stays soft, but let that harden up. Now let's see how this looks. This one I think is going to require more work. Well, this side's not as great. I don't know. I'll have to let that harden up and come after it again, and kind of screwed it up by heating it with the heat gun, trying to get that wax out, but I don't know. We can see that it's a reasonable way to do it. All right, well, I'm done fixing up the cracks, and I think they turned out really nice. What I found is that, you know, the JB weld tends to work best, and then if you chop up the fiberglass and kind of mix it in there, I think that works pretty good. But it seems okay, but I spend a lot of time doing it, right? Because getting this part right, you know, if you look at like these little corners here, getting these right and getting wax in there to kind of get it all straight just took a while. And so, right, I mean, none of this is a worthwhile use of time, but I wanted to kind of figure out how to fix these cracks. And I talked to a friend of mine who's he was in manufacturing, and he knows a lot of these plastics and stuff. And he was a little bit surprised that the epoxy held in as well as it did, and because of the plastic. But I asked him for what would work better to fix this, and he just kind of shrugged. So I don't know. But here you can see this turned out pretty good. I had to kind of get that to all fit. But again, like, I just used pieces of wax as kind of molds. And then here's this piece here. This big divot here was out. And a little crack here. So there wasn't too much to do on this one. But I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tape these up, and I'm going to prime them, and then I'll use the inside to kind of mix some colors. And you know, I've never painted. I don't know about painting something this small, right? I got to mix the paints to get the colors right. So I got myself this airbrush, and I'm just going to fart around. I've never had one before, and they're not that expensive. But I got that, and then I got a regulator so I can hook it up to my regular compressor. And so today I was just going to get the fittings to kind of get it so I could put it together up in my shop. And then I'm going to try mixing some enamel paint to kind of match these colors. Looks like it's just a black and a white and a blue. Hopefully I can get it close. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But next step is priming, taping, and then priming. Well, here we are up in the shop, and I want to paint this. And, you know, it kind of looks like these two colors. I don't know if you can see it, but they're blue, right? But then it's almost like they're a little bit gray, right? And so I'm gonna, I've got some blue over there. I'm gonna mix some black with it and see if I can get that just a tiny bit grayer. And then this one is just a kind of a light blue. So that's, I think if I can get that shade, but then whiten it up, I think I can get this shade. And I don't know, maybe we can get this thing painted. And I'm using an enamel paint. I'm using an enamel paint. I got some black here. All right, so there, I don't know, I think that's the right color. What a mess. All right, so there's the inside all kind of put back together. Just a little bit loose in there. It didn't seem like there was anything holding that down, which seems kind of weird. There's a little something on this side. But yeah, it all came together, and there you can see how the plastic kind of looks. Took me quite a while to get all that paint on there right. What ended up working best is I put the paint on, and then I put some like Minwax polyurethane on there, and then kind of wet sanded it. And that's the only way I could get it to look like, you know, the plastic used to look, and then polished it. Once I did it with wet sanded, then I polished it. But here, let's look at the front. I mean, that looks like $1,000,000, right? I did put a little bit of white paint on here, just a little bit, so it didn't fill in the holes. But yeah, I just think this thing looks gorgeous. So let's pop a battery in there and try it out. Great, right? And look at that front. I mean, that looks like $1,000,000. I think that is such a cool radio. So let's just try it out here.
Different things that they have to do that took about 10 months.
Against the Gophers, they'll round out this at the longtime listeners of the show will be really happy to hear a familiar voice alongside me right now. I'd like to welcome author
Been cleared of responsibility in an accident last summer that resulted in a woman being hit in the head by a metal object.
coming up here on a Friday night. News Talk, WCCO.
The Cremation Society of Minnesota is always looking for ways to help families at their time of need. We have now made it possible.
Want to bring that to the world, and they have a lot of now raving fans that are waiting for that. So stay tuned. I think Little Birdie told me they'll be going back on tour sometime in the near future. So watch this space.
Writing a book takes so much time. That's a big one. This is a huge game for Lake Superior State based on that Bowling Green result. They could tie him with 33 conference points. In fourth place in that home ice position. Board battle in the corner, Warner with Oliver. Offensive zone for the Tommy. Frozen there on the end boards.
Well, that's it for Rob's Fix-It Shop with this 6x-300 Mitsubishi portable radio from the 60s. And it was pretty fun getting it back up and running. It's really a cool design. And I remember being a kid and looking in the back of those radios and thinking, what is going on in there? So, I mean, it took me 50 years, but, you know, now I kind of understand them. And it was kind of fun debugging it. Of course, it was bad capacitors, but we went through the circuit anyway. And fixing the plastic, that was a stretch goal for me, right? I mean, I'd never done that. And the painting, and of course the painting, you know, really trying to get it to look good. I had to do what I had. You know, if you look back in my videos, there's an RCA radio that I fixed that was all cracked. Same thing I did it on this one. If you want that plastic to look good, I had to varnish it and then wet sand the varnish and then polish it to get it to look like plastic, because otherwise it shows every imperfection. So I don't know, I was glad to get that going and get it working, but it's really a cool cool looking radio, right? So I don't know, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, hit like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. So with that, I think I'll get back to my hockey game.
Off the end window, Posa following up. To the end boards he goes. Zins with it for the Tommies. It's centered and knocked away by McGregor. Cleared out by St. Thomas through neutral ice. Retrieved by Roy. Or rather Nordquist. Up the right wing he goes behind the Tommies net.